Welcome to Sanmarga News. I'm Zinera, and today we have with us Sharjil Usmani. He's an independent researcher and alumnus of AMU and also the National Secretary of Fraternity Movement. I welcome you, sir, to the show.
Thank you.
Um, what would you like the viewers to know about yourself, like an introduction? What would you like to?
I'm a student of political science. I did my graduation from AMU. I was born and brought up in Azamgarh. Then I moved to Aligarh to pursue my higher education. And I've been doing activism, student activism, for past 4 years. I was one of the protesters. Like I also played a small role in the anti-CA movement, and I write about Muslim issues. That's it, I think.
So already there are many student organizations in India. Then why a new movement named Fraternity?
Of course, there are many organizations in India. There are many political parties in India, but we now know that there has been some vacuum. Like they have failed to address the issues and the sufferings of too many of people. That's why new movements grow. Why did Kashiram feel that they need another Dalit movement in India? It was because there was a vacuum. The dominant Congress party at that time, they did not address the Dalit issues that they should have. And now I feel that it is right time, and because the existing parties aren't addressing Muslim issues particularly in the way it should be, and that's why we need movement like fraternity, and that's why people are accepting fraternity movement in the first place.
Now that you have led the anti-CA protests, and what would you like the viewers to know about, like how was that anti-CA protest done, and what would you like to say about that, and also why particularly the students of AMU and Jamia were targeted by the cops?
Those two are very interesting questions. We in Aligarh Muslim University started the anti-CA agitation way before anybody in India decided to take anti-CA bill. It was a bill back then, seriously. We started the movement on 6th of December when the bill wasn't even passed, but we somehow got the national attention only when 25,000 students, they decided to sit on a hunger strike to on the same day the bill was to be tabled in the Rajya Sabha. So ever since we were protesting, there was one thing which we were very clear about, that this movement was this our protest wasn't uh, just to revoke this bill, or just to ask the government, pressurize the government to take this bill back. We were fighting for the self-respect and dignity of Muslims as a community in India. Earlier, it was debated. It's long debated subject that, like a decade ago, people would debate in the parliament that whether or not Muslims second-class citizens in India. And now with the anti-CA bill, it was debated whether or not Muslims were even citizens of India. And so we had nothing left to to fight for. This was the last step, and a single push any further would have disqualified us from our membership in the Indian society. So we did not wanted just to stay on the margins. We were fighting that we get the same dignity and same self respect that that other communities are getting in India. We needed the equal representation and equal participation in any sphere of public life that India provides, and that was essentially the anti-CA agitation. It wasn't just to revoke a single bill. It was against this hatred that enables these governments, enables these people to from lynching people on suspicion of stealing cattle, to bringing laws in parliament that say that you aren't citizen anymore. So it shows that Muslims are taken for granted in India, not just by the state but by our fellow citizens, and it was a fight against that hatred. And that is where that is what the students of AMU and Jamia, essentially because of their Muslim character, realized. And since they Jamia and AMU, the Muslim University in Aligarh, they have this Muslim character. That is why the state attacked them in a way they attack Muslims generally. I've been saying this for a long time that every Muslim youth is a potential threat in the eyes of the national security of the state. And with the police aggression we saw in AMU and in Jamia, it is pretty sure that the state wants to treat Muslims as the others, because using weapons that are used in wars like stun grenades, assault rifles, tear gas cannons, which are even banned in international law says that these weapons are banned in even wars. They were used against students in their own campuses. You won't find such police aggression in any campus does not have a Muslim character, and that is why Jamia Millia and Muslim University in Aligarh were attacked.
We have come across a lot of medias where they are linking, or they are making a connection between the anti-CA protesters and the what the Delhi riots had caused over there. So they are connecting, they are creating a link. So what do you have to comment about this, the link what the media creates?
So the interesting thing about this anti-CA agitation was that it wasn't led by the existing layer of leaders we had in the Muslim community. So all of these leaders were silent on the previous issues. Like it was from the first lynching that came in the public light, the case of Muhammad Akhlaq in Dadri. So the entire Muslim leadership was silent, the existing Muslim leadership. Then came the Babri Masjid decision, then the revocation of Article 370 in Kashmir, and other various Muslim issues. The existing Muslim leadership was either silent or wasn't doing enough. So the sea agitations were interesting and innovative in a way that it wasn't started by those existing leadership. New people came forward, people like Asif Iqbal Tanha, people like Sharjeel Imam, people like Miran Haider, people like Afreen Fatima, Aisha Renna, Ladida Farzana. Nobody knew them before the CA agitation started, and these people come forward. They lead the whole country and make this turn this movement into a national movement. And the state wasn't, they did not realize that this could go that forward. Like they had already checked, they were already tapping the existing leadership, and they were pretty sure that nothing would happen because we have marked every Muslim leader. And this new generation of leaders come forward and they take the state in a shock, and this becomes a public movement. And now the state doesn't know how to counter these leaders. So they do a pogrom, they orchestrate a pogrom. Like hundreds of Muslims are killed in broad daylight in the national capital, just few miles away from the official residence of our Prime Minister. And thousands are displaced, crores of properties are burned, and then Muslims themselves are now witch hunted for the killings of their fellow brothers and sisters. So this is in a way they are trying to silence this new emerged leadership that we saw from the anti-CA agitations. Look at the people who are being framed as conspirators of this Delhi pogrom. Sharjeel Imam, he was one of the leaders of the anti-CA agitation. Asif Iqbal Tanha, one of the leaders who was at the forefront of Jamia protest. Then we have Miran Haider, again anti-CA protesters. So they are specifically targeting the leaders of the anti-CA agitations, so that this new layer of leadership of Muslim community dies, and there's no one to resist this government.
Yeah. So as you have already told, like this is a kind of tactic to suppress the voices that people have raised. What would you like to tell the viewers, like from your part, on this thing?
A very important thing is that I really want people to understand. First, the anti-CA agitations. During that, the leaders were maligned in different ways. The mainstream media told and portrayed them as, even I was portrayed as some devil who wanted to break away India. The way Sharjeel Imam was witch hunted, or Asif Iqbal Tanha, and even other organizations, other Muslim organizations like Jamaat Islami and various other Muslim outfits were they were painted in a certain way, that we were doing something that was essentially anti-India or anti-nation, that we were doing this out of our hatred for our Hindu nation, the Hindu brothers and sisters who are living in India. See, the thing is that we aren't fighting any religion, we aren't fighting this country, we are fighting the hate. When you or me, for example, we travel from Karnataka to Delhi to pursue our education, we don't get flats on rent in Hindu majority areas. So it comes from the reason why you don't give us flat is because there's some prejudice you have in your mind. There's some hatred. We are forced to live in a ghetto. We are forced to live in a ghetto, and then you say that we live amongst ourselves. We don't come into the mainstream. So you force us into the mainstream, and this is where you are at fault. You have to realize that by maligning 25 crore population, that is 25 crore population is a huge number. Like the leading European countries, the biggest European countries, 5 European countries would not cross that number that we have in India, that Muslims of India have in India. So by disempowering them, by disqualifying them from their membership in Indian society, you are holding the nation back. With our empowerment, with the empowerment of Muslims, India surely is going to be empowered. You need to understand that. And again, I'll repeat that we are fighting against that hatred. We hope that you realize this and you support us in the larger struggle.
Yeah. So moving on to the next question. In Hyderabad Central University, when the left and the Dalit organizations had formed an alliance, why MSF and fraternity were left alone?
So the SFI had SFI says that they don't want to get into an alliance with any Muslim party because Muslim parties are essentially communal, and this is their blatant Islamophobia, that just because we are Muslims we ought to be communal unless we have a non-Muslim on our side. This comes from a secular thought, because just believing that a Muslim movement cannot be a national movement because there are no Hindus in it. Like 25% population of India is demanding something, is on road, and it cannot be called a national movement. That is bizarre, and you say that because you have prejudice from this is outright Islamophobia. And the way SFI said that they don't want to get into alliance with MSF, they don't want to get into alliance with fraternity or SIO, was their Islamophobia. And if they don't want us, well, the thing is now we also don't want them. Let us fight alone, let us lead our separate battles, and whoever is right will win, inshallah, eventually. And that was our plan. But calling the Islamophobia is very important, and I think even after losing election, the MSF and Fraternity Alliance did highlight that, see, SFI is Islamophobic, and that was a point well proved.
Yeah. After all this, like we have come across where medias, they have given some taglines to the protesters like Khan Market, Tukde Tukde gangs, Khalistani, Pakistani, urban Naxals. What do you have to say about that?
Very celebrated, the liberal secular people, they come and say that we are proud to be urban Naxal, we are proud to be from the Khan Market gang, and yes, we are anti-nationals. They say that they are proud of it, and this gives them political currency. Like leaders of left saying that okay, we are proud, we are in support with the urban Naxals. It works for them. It gives them political currency. But I, as a Muslim, cannot say I'm anti-national. I'll be lynched then and there. You cannot say that you're part of a Khan Market gang in a public place. You don't have that kind of security. So the people who celebrate this kind of words, terminologies being imposed upon Muslims, imposed upon the protesters, the people who celebrate, they do that from a very privileged position. It is their privilege that doesn't harm. Even after they, like Umar Khalid was called anti-national in 2016. So was Kanhaiya. And everybody knows that both were treated differently. Kanhaiya has a privilege of having that Hindu identity, which Umar doesn't have. So I really don't believe in such terminologies. I'm not part of any gang. I'm not an urban Naxal, and I don't know what that is. I've never met them. I don't know what Khan Market gang is. I've never been to Khan Market, in fact. And this is just, these terminologies are just thrown in to engage Muslims that yeah, there is some kind of opposition, and there isn't. It's all about status quo. The people in the privileged who are in power, the people who are privileged and who are not in power, it is their game, their basketball, and we Muslims are becoming their basket, going from this end to that end. I don't want to play that game. I am saying that I am a nationalist as much as you are. I am a national. I'm a member of this society as much as you are, and you don't have any right to call me by whatever name you are. And if you say that, you will have to face some resistance. You have to, like, there's a very famous quote, my friend Sharjil Imam, he said that you have to respect my existence, or if you don't do that, expect my resistance. And that is what I strongly believe in.
Yeah. So, what would you like the viewers to know about the treatment given to you when you were imprisoned?
I was arrested by the anti-terrorist squad, and this is although I've come out, but this is something that will stay with me for a long time, and it should be pointed out I point out whenever I get a chance, that I wasn't arrested by the police. I was arrested by the anti-terrorist squad. So a Muslim who carrying his Muslim identity, when demands his rights, is equal to a terrorist. The police, the regular police, won't engage with him. The terrorist squad will have to be brought to engage with Muslim students. So that is the inherent biasness in the working of the state towards Muslims. I was arrested from my hometown in Azamgarh. Then I was taken to the capital of Uttar Pradesh, Lucknow. I was interrogated there for 15 hours, and there were several things that happened during the interrogation which I don't want to elaborate on, and I don't want that, because the activists that have emerged in the during the CA protest, I don't want them to be afraid of anything. That's why I'm not going into the details.
Yeah.
I just want to tell them that it's nothing that you cannot survive. So, and this is a very little cost that we'll have to pay if we are in this struggle. So then after the interrogation, I was handed over to Aligarh police. Then I was sent to jail. I stayed in the jail for some 2 months, and then I got bail, alhamdulillah.
So, finally, there are many young potential minds. They look up to you as an inspiration. What would you like to like to tell the viewers about how to continue this resistance? About this resistance, what would you like to tell the viewers about it?
My journey from a student to becoming a student activist, it started from a very basic thing. Like, I started asking questions, questions like how, why, what is the reason, where is it written. These are very basic questions that people should ask to their professors, to their elders, to anybody who says something and expects you to believe that. I started my activism with those very basic questions. So then the second very important element is that we need to read and continuously reread. We need to engage with newer ideas. We need to challenge the dominant narratives. We need to look for other discourses, other underprivileged discourses, the underdog forces, like in UP, Bhim Army emerged as a political force very recently. So we as a Muslims need to engage with them, other lower groups of the society, and we need to ask questions. It is as easy as that. At the moment you start asking questions, people in power are going to get uncomfortable, and that is what makes you, defines you as an activist. If the society in general started asking questions, we'll become a very vibrant democracy in its real sense.
Thank you, Sharjil Usmani, for being so cooperative and coming here for this session. And with this, we have come to an end to this session. And for more such videos, stay tuned with Sanmarga News. Thank you.
ಇಂತಹ ಹಲವು ಸುದ್ದಿ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ವಿಶ್ಲೇಷಣೆಗಾಗಿ ಸನ್ಮಾರ್ಗ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ನಿರಂತರ ನೋಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಪಡೆಯಲು ಬೆಲ್ ಐಕಾನ್ ಒತ್ತಲು ಮರೆಯದಿರಿ.